He lit a candle in the darkness of my night. Certain occurrences are beyond the realm of human understanding. We can only embrace such experiences with the conviction that divine intervention has prevailed. I shall be eternally grateful to Guruji who gave me a new lease of life. With the benefit of hindsight, I understand why. Although at that time the reasons were unclear to me, misery shrouded the core of my being as my suffering was intense. Every cell and nerve of mine was filled with agony on the physical and physiological levels. Even though Guruji had entered my life as a beacon of light, I was unable to see beyond my own darkness and despair. Born and raised in Manchester, UK, I suffered from congenital asthma and eczema as well as a hole in the heart. My childhood was traumatic for my parents and very tiring and trying for me. However, on the account of strong health karma, my spirit had become indomitable as I had to endure much more than my contemporaries. I had learned to rise above the trivialities at a tender age due to my tribulations. I had reservations about my life exceeding 10 years. Good fortune prevailed. My parents, on the other hand, lived with uncertainty as the heart specialist had painted a grim picture for me. I was healthy and happy, teenager enjoying all the joys that life offered. At 22, I tied the knot and migrated to Delhi. However, as fate had it, a cloud of torment again descended upon my life. As my asthma choked me with every changing season, I was hospitalized each time and given steroid injections. I felt dejected and rejected as, despite my best efforts to evade and avoid asthma attacks, I was still stuck with the worst kind. My most life threatening one struck me in 1997, and that is when I resigned to it completely. I recall praying in my heart that this would be the final one, as I could no longer endure the affliction. During that ill fated time, I had developed a nasty skin condition that involved my entire body. A biopsy confirmed I had skin cancer. I kept my plight to myself as I was determined not to shock my family. It was earth shattering news, and I had decidedly reached the end of the road as my strength to go on had diminished. However, in the darkness of my night, Guruji, my divine grace, lit a candle. Each time I revisit the day I glimpsed him, I can distinctly recollect my feelings. As good fortune had it, Guruji sat alone in his room that day, and my friend, who had insisted on my paying him a visit, accompanied me to him. His mere presence overwhelmed me. I had felt like a lost child all my life, who had finally found the comfort and protection of a mother. I had been instantly taken under his wing. I had discovered true love like never before. It was pure and unconditional. I felt at home as he embraced me with his infinite love and asked me to attend his congregation every evening. Come rain or shine, I would go to Guruji every evening and sit amongst hundreds of other devotees. At that time, I was undergoing immense physical pain as my skin was oozing with pus and blood. In addition, I was psychologically distressed, and this made me increasingly uncomfortable around people. As time elapsed, Guruji bestowed upon me a blessing that began to heal me internally. I began to accept my condition, and instead of resisting and fighting, it was an overkill of bitterness and animosity. I made peace with it. I accepted the inevitability of my illness, and since I grew to be at ease with it and with my circumstances, I went with the flow without expecting to be healed. I didn't believe that was a possibility. Merely being with Guruji and imbibing his energy elevated my spirits, and I expected no more. I was finally at peace as I immersed myself more and more in his gracious presence. I felt a spiritual awakening. I simply loved being with him as he rendered upon me love that I never knew before. His love was pure and unconditional, and the kind that could not be substituted. I gravitated towards him very naturally and effortlessly every single evening without fail. On the blessed day, he summoned me to the front where he sat and quite openly announced in Punjabi, which I must confess was Greek to me, that he had tried and tested and squeezed me like a lemon, and that now he would heal me. I must not fail to add how true his words were, as he had left no stone unturned in testing my endurance to see if I was worthy of his love. I returned home that evening with hope and joy blossoming in my heart. All those months that my skin was inflamed, I would avoid my reflection as I was daunted by it. The mirror was a painful sight. The turning point arrived when Guruji endowed me with his eternal blessings and advised me to muster the courage to look in the mirror. Courage is what it took, as the reflection had changed, but only a fraction. However, within a few weeks, I saw a new me standing in the mirror, stranger to myself. I was overawed by Guruji. Without a shadow of doubt, I was convinced of his sublime healing powers, and my love for him grew even stronger and my faith even more formidable. Changing seasons came and went, but did not trigger off any asthma attacks. In fact, I breathed Delhi's polluted air as normally as anyone. I knew without being choked by it. Guruji gave me a new lease of life and told me that I would not have survived if he had not healed me. His words corresponded with an astrologer's whom I had met much earlier that year. It is a challenge for me to give expression to the transformation that took place, but the least I can say is that he healed me not only physically but also enriched me spiritually. After the longest time, I began to feel comfortable in my own skin, literally. However, Guruji's tests are unending, and as nature has it, we become selfishly distant once we are granted our prayers. One particular incident demonstrates how Guruji never ceases to love his disciples. He had told me to light a candle before his photograph every day. One day, after lighting half a box of matches, the candle had still not lit. Much to my dismay, in a fit of fury, I went to the bathroom, came out, and there was a lit candle. I was startled. That very evening, as a mark of respect, I specially visited Guruji, even though it was not my visiting day. As I bowed to touch his feet, he whispered softly, in his usual gracious voice, "So the candle lit, did it not?" I knew then that it was I who had distanced myself from Guruji, and he, on the contrary, always remained connected. In a word, I would like to conclude by humbling experiences, my heartfelt gratitude to him, and live every moment feeling indebted to his grace. Satsang of a devotee.